Yes. So then let's start. I love this line. His days were a long growth to the Supreme. That is really the secret of the, the true significance of existence. Life on earth is an opportunity. And we don't remember that. We just live more or less automatically. But if we could make our life a series of days, to make that simply move as consciously as possible towards the divine. In whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever actions we have, we make, if everything can become an expression, not immediately of perfection, but something less imperfect, less dark, move towards a little more expression of truth, of beauty, of harmony, then the whole life will then become really an adventure of joy. It's not simply a period of time allotted to each of us any longer. Now we start. A skyward being, nourishing its roots on sustenance from occult spiritual founts, climbed through white rays to meet an unseen sun. This is the growth towards the Supreme. Obviously, the metaphor, the image is that of a tree. The tree moves skyward, but its roots are strong because it draws its energy from within, from below, to rise above. Now, we have the notion that maybe the earth is the field of inertia, dullness, matter is heavy. We don't recognize that this world of matter is nothing but energy. And this energy is a projection of the Supreme Shakti. It seems to be hidden in darkness. It seems to be couched in inertia. But deep within, it is the fount of all our existence, without which there can be no growth. When he uses the term occult, its real meaning is hidden. The spirit is hidden in matter. We only see the outer form of matter, which we say is inert, is dull, is heavy, and therefore, if we want to move towards the spirit, we often tend to move away from the world of matter and concentrate on the spirit. And this is not at all what Sri Aurobindo has come to say. Matter is the home of the spirit. The spirit is in the world of matter, cloaked in some kind of an outwardly unconscious automatic energy, which we call apara prakriti. But that force of change, force of growth, where has it found where is its source? Its source is the source of all things, the Supreme Shakti, that has plunged into the earth, that has plunged into darkness. And because of that, this is the involution, which is the starting point of all evolution. The force that has come down into the world of darkness is hidden very well, perhaps, in the world of darkness, but is constantly at work. And it is because of this that slowly we can emerge out of darkness towards light, because that push comes from below. The push of the Supreme consciousness, which is at the same time this force. Force is also conscious force. And it is because thanks to this power that there can be a continuous journey towards the light. So this is this skyward being which is Ashwapati, moving towards the Supreme, nourishing its roots on sustenance, drawing his energy from hidden spiritual founts which are not only around and above, but which are also below. In the Supreme Inconscience, beneath the Supreme Inconscience, is the Supreme Conscious Force. And that is what gives strength to this physical existence, this material existence, that can help us to slowly move in the body, not just out of the body like one who only wants to concentrate on his soul, but in the body and life and mind, to climb entirely to meet the highest, which is for a long time unseen. The sun is the source of all light. We cannot live without the sun. It is the supreme truth, the supreme consciousness. But to reach that is a long journey. So that sun is unseen for a while. But it is this urge that really gives meaning to life. We don't live unknowingly then, otherwise we live automatically, unknowingly, we live from day to day. But if we can constantly climb out of our lower nature, even in small degrees, to move towards the light. This was done by him because he had the knowledge. He knew. We have forgotten. We also have the knowledge. We have cut ourselves off from the source from which we came. He has not. This is now a description of Ashwapati, who is not only the master of all his energies, Ashwa being energy, he has gathered all himself, all his forces, all his aspirations towards the heights, because he is very familiar with the heights. He knows that he has come from there. So here is the description of the guide. His soul lived as eternity's delegate. He was not completely, he had not at all cut off from the world of eternity. We all are children of eternity. We don't remember that. We become children of time. But he kept that knowledge, lived that, so he lived as a delegate, as if from the world of the eternal, the divine becomes human, so that the human may grow into the divine. This is the purpose of these guides, these avatars, who put on humanity as an outer cloak, but essentially are expressions of the divine. From a certain point of view, we are all that, all of us. But we have lost contact. He is not. He's a representative, like a delegate of the eternal. He lived that. He consciously embodied that. So his soul lived as eternity's delegate. His mind was like a fire assailing heaven. Mind is an instrument of light. It may be a partial instrument. It may be a linear instrument. It's not capable of seeing all things and experiencing all knowledge at the same time. It does not. But It wants to. It wants to know. Mind is eager as an instrument of light and truth. But if we have not strengthened and purified our mind, we often get into a mistaken view. We mistake falsehood to be true. We mistake half truths to be the whole truth. Because the mind, for the most part, we accept it as a limited instrument. But if we can develop this instrument with the aspiration and the purification that is necessary, the chitta shuddhi, then we can slowly break away from this partial, limited now world of experience and move towards a vision of the whole. Usually the mind can't see the whole, it sees things in parts. It divides things into categories and oppositions, and this is dark and that is light, this is small and that is big. To be able to reach heaven, heaven is in a way a term which you might say the highest. Mind, can it reach the highest? Then we have to go beyond the mind. But we want to. If we want to, if there is that power of aspiration, and that's why assailing, want to break out of the boundaries and limitations of a narrow mentality and move into an experience of something wider, more complete, more total. It is this the aim of knowledge. We mustn't forget, Sri Aurobindo also himself, in his own personal yoga, he wrote that he started as a seeker of knowledge. The Jnana Yoga was his first journey towards the divine. Later it became a complete, more total, more rounded experience, which will come also in this book, where the jnana is completed by bhakti. But as Sri Aurobindo himself started, when there is the jnana yoga, the individual has to take charge of his own progress. If you take up bhakti as your path, you can surrender all of yourself to the divine and let the divine take charge of your personal journey. It's not easy because you have to give up your ego totally, which is not something we like to do. We like the divine to do everything for us, but we want to hold on to our littleness. That is not the yoga of bhakti. It's the yoga of total self-surrender. And this is the other. When you start the yoga of knowledge, it's you personally who are in charge of your own development of consciousness. So here he starts with that search for light. In his soul, in his mind, in his will, one aspect of the mind, which is the dynamic aspect, his will, a hunter in the trails of light. He's like a fire, he's like a hunter. That means there is this search which is continuous and intense for the absolute truth. Not half-truths, not that which seem to be easy solutions. He wants to go to the source of all light, all truths, the highest. Eventually he will recognize he has to go beyond the mind. But the purpose of the journey of consciousness is towards light and truth for him. An ocean impulse lifted every breath.
His will.
Yes?
His will, a hunter.
Hunter.
Yeah. We saw the soul, the mind, but we haven't seen.
In the trails of light. Like a hunter follows a trail. The hunter follows a trail looking to hunt for whatever he wants to hunt. There's a track. What he wants to hunt is light.
Let's go for it.
So he going to move without any kind of, you might say, no dispersion of, or no, you might say, it's all one continuous journey. There is no, you might say, weakening of the effort. We might want light, we might want truth now and then, off and on, but all the time, constant intensity. This is tapasya. We all have energies, and sometimes I suppose most of us can turn at least some of our energies upwards. But to be able to do so continuously, all the time, that is really the nature of tapasya. There is nothing that vacillates. Mother's prayers, that where she says, like a flame that does not vacillate. Because our flames vacillate. We move this way, that way, now and then there is a kind of an appeal or a call, and then we forget, and then we move this way. We ask for this, we ask for that. That will take us hundreds of lives, perhaps. You can remember Mother's little sketch, a symbolic little sketch, the connection between the individual soul and the divine. And the soul, the individual goes this way and that way and that way and that way. Eventually, maybe after God knows how many hundreds of lives, he will connect with the source, because that is where he came from. But the one who is in a state of constant aspiration, constant, you might say, concentration, goes straight up.
She's given the name constant remembrance.
Constant remembrance.
In flower.
Yes, that's the constant remembrance of Sri Aurobindo. That's the whole thing. It's there, but it's so difficult to remember, because we connect with our lower nature, with our surface nature, where there is ignorance, where there is inconscience, where there is enjoyment also of all the other aspects of superficial manifestation. There is a forgetting of that true essence, and we like it. That's the problem. So this is as far as mind or his higher being is concerned. Then an ocean impulse lifted every breath in the world of life. Ocean is the world of life consciousness. It is endless. The force is endless. You may connect with a wave of life, but the wave is part of an infinite ocean. And that is at work, it is moving all the time. So you have this sense of impulsion. Impulsion is push, is drive. That energy, it's not enough to sit in quiet, silent meditation. It has to be transmitted in the world of life. Again, this is what is important and distinct in Sri Aurobindo. It's not enough to know, you have to be, you have to manifest, you have to be an expression of what you have recognized or realized. An ocean impulse, that is to say, an endless oceanic force, lifted every breath, each action. Next, the body, mind, life, body. Each action left the footprints of a God. We can break out of our smallness. We usually relate to our smallness. We say, I am a human being, I am not a God. I don't remember that because I am a human being, I am a God. I am a God in the making. If I can remember that, I am a human being created by the divine, and therefore I have to eventually manifest that which created me. If you want, in the modern language, that is my DNA. Why are we so different from where we come from? We have accepted to be part of our surface, you say, cloaking of inertia and dullness and ignorance and error, and say this is what is human nature. The divine nature is free from all these errors. But that is where we come from. So here, if we can become expressions of what we really essentially are, each action left the footprints of a God. We can move through life, we can walk through time, breaking the boundaries of the present and moving into a new stage of manifestation. That is a journey. The footprint is part of a step. This life is a journey. We are not supposed to move in circles, repeating the same circuit over and over again. We have to move forward from where we are to where we have to go. And where we have to go is really what we are. Each moment was a beat of puissant wings. This force, this energy. So here you have the secret of what life is supposed to be in mind, life, body, consciousness, to be constantly an embodiment of this aspiration towards the divine. But this is not the case with most of us. For Ashwapati, this was what was special. So here he makes it clear who he was. He remembers his origin. He has come down as a delegate, as a representative of the Supreme on earth. Later, in the poem, he says, God must be born on earth and be as man, that man being human may grow even as God. And therefore, from time to time, there are beings who come down into the human field, but who are actually sent down from beyond and show us the way of how to break out of our littleness. Otherwise, we always relate to our humanness. To break out of that and become more than we are, because he, the highest, has become less than what he seems to be. Outwardly, he has accepted our littleness and then breaks the path of the limited range of experience to move upwards. And this is an explanation Mother had given also, the function or the role of the avatar. The avatar is one who has put on a human embodiment by choice. But when he puts on a human embodiment, he puts on all the aspects of the human nature. But he does it by choice, not by an evolutionary growth as man does. He comes down and then shows how to move up the incline, up the slope towards the sun. And yet he is like us. And so man may seem to think, if someone who is like me, who looks like me, who eats like me, who sleeps like me, who behaves like me, if he can make this effort, probably I can also try. Otherwise, I will always tend to say, you are different, you are special, you are divine. For you, it is easy to remain on the higher levels of consciousness and purity. I am far too weak, I cannot. So he puts on our weakness like a cloak. This is the sacrifice, this is the love, this is the divine comes down very close to us and tells us you proceed in this way. I'm moving on the path, you move like on the track that I'm clearing for you. The little plot of our mortality, touched by this tenant from the heights, became a playground of the living infinite. This is Ashwapati. The human life is like a small area, a plot, death-bound, because our connection with the eternal is not there. Therefore, there is the sense of limitation and mortality. But he also comes into the same plot. This earth, this human experience, touched by this tenant from the heights. The word tenant is interesting. The tenant comes to your house. He is not part of your family. He's come for a while to live in your house. So he has come for a while from far beyond to live into our earthly home. But he brings his nature, he brings his consciousness, he brings his light into our earthly home. So this little plot then, when he comes into our world, it becomes a playground of the living infinite. The mortal slowly becomes aware that this field of mortality is a field where everything, every work, every action, every thought, every movement can be essentially an expression of the divine. We are not undivine. We have lost touch with that knowledge. But he therefore comes into our little world, a little limited consciousness, and he is there at work or at play because he has taken up this charge out of love, and he plays with us, he shares our life with us, he shares our difficulties with us. So you can feel close to him, he becomes intimate. It's not that he is far away like some very great and sober judge who sits up above, but someone who looks and feels like you. And therefore it becomes a game, a playground, where there is victory and defeat, where there is sometimes joy and then pain, but slowly through each experience, an expression of the perfect emerges. This is what he has done, but this is what all can do. And so we have this marvelous sentence that is no longer only about Ashwapati, but about all of us. This bodily appearance is not all. The form deceives. The person is a mask. Hid deep in man, celestial powers can dwell. His fragile ship conveys through the sea of years an incognito of the imperishable. So, man is a traveler, and he is, as is often an image used in Indian mysticism, you are traveling in a boat. Your being, your body is like a boat, and this boat is, the passenger in the boat is your spirit. And you are passing across the waters of time. But we are not this outer appearance, this bodily appearance. This is not Fabienne, this form. She is something more.
Yeah.
The form deceives. You associate a person by the face and the form and the outer behavior. But there are many other things that remain unexpressed until the outer form becomes transparent, purified, ready to reveal those inner powers. Until then, the outer person is a mask. I hope the time for masks is over for us, isn't it? We don't need to hide behind masks anymore. The true person has to emerge, the true reality that we are. Hid deep in man, celestial, divine that is, powers can dwell, do dwell. That they remain hidden. They remain hidden until the outer being feels the need to call them up. That is something again which is the play of the divine. Until we want, the divine remains in the background. The inner divinity does not insist. It does not tell you, come on, change, evolve. If the outer being is satisfied with his outer life, with a few prayers and calls now and then, so that the divine may bless him and help him out of his difficulties. That is our role that we have allotted to the divine. Please help me in my time of need. You be with me today, I have a problem, I want it solved. Other than that, you put the divine on a pedestal and he is far away. He is deep inside. But if we do not feel the need for these forces to come out into the open, these forces, this consciousness, these powers remain in the background. Or totally, this is very beautifully put in the mother's essay called The Supreme Discovery. The inner divinity never insists. It does not say, call me, I will come out and help you. Until the being perceives the need that I have to turn to the divine. Without the divine, life is a painful illusion. That is a sentence that she has written. With him, all is bliss. We say life is an illusion, everything comes to go. Without the divine, it is so. With him, everything is delight. Every experience, even what we may call pain, is also part of the game. So it is a play. Hid deep in man, celestial powers can dwell. His fragile ship conveys through the sea of years. This change is slow. Time is a journey, is an opportunity for change. All experiences take place in time. And as we proceed, like when we are on a journey, we are moving towards a goal that was already there, given. You move towards a goal. That's what gives meaning to a journey. What is the goal? The goal is guided. We move towards that goal. The pilot is inside. The imperishable, the eternal. He is the one who guides the ship towards the given goal. A spirit, an incognito of the imperishable. You know what the word means, incognito? Yes? No?
In disguise.
Inconnu. That is one known. A person you don't know. There are people who want to not be recognized.
They're in disguise.
You may travel incognito. So you not only unknown, he maybe doesn't want to be known. He doesn't want to be known. He hides. It's very common, no? There are certain well-known celebrities who don't want to be chased by reporters and journalists, so they pull down their hats, wear big glasses, lift up their collars of the coats. You don't know who the person is. You think it's just a traveler. Maybe He's a very well-known person. But the very well-known person is always, people run after him, and there's a great deal of hullabaloo around him. If I want to be peaceful and quiet, I don't want to be recognized. So perhaps the divine doesn't want to be recognized for a long time, until the time is ripe. So he stays in the background. We don't know, maybe he also doesn't want us to know him, because we usually make our own definition of the divine according to our nature. Our God is actually a projection of our nature. He has made us, we have also made him to a certain degree. Therefore, the whole truth remains in the background until the time is ready. The time will come much later, when we reach the goal of the journey. Therefore, this incognito stays deeply hidden. That presence is what gives to man and his life a meaning. Otherwise, we live in the body with a life and a mind that is moving towards an eventual nothingness. Like there are many ships, many boats that cross the sea of time and go under. But if you have to reach the final haven, the port, you have to have a good pilot. A spirit that is a flame of God abides. Abides, remains, is always there. In each, there is a spirit. It is a projection of the divine consciousness, a fiery portion of the wonderful, artist of his own beauty and delight, immortal in our mortal poverty. Without him, we really are beings that are very poor, very limited, very small. But if within us we are aware that there is another power, and we allow that power to shape us, to alter us, like, say, a piece of stone that accepts to be shaped, hammered, beaten, and finally become an expression of a divine statue, because that sculptor is inside you, shaping you, altering you, perfecting you, purifying you, so that you can become like the stone, always contained. The stone contained the image of perfection. It always was there. But there were so many other things all surrounding that image of perfection, of the beauty of the goddess or the god, or whatever image the sculptor wants to make. There were all kinds of other things which catch our attention. So we have to remove all those things and finally become expressions of that perfection that is already there. And if we allow the divine to work on us, he is the artist. He will shape us. But like a sculptor, he has to at the same time hammer, beat, chisel, break the stone. It's not something which on the surface is painless. Yes. We have to go through all these experiences, difficulties. We have to receive shocks, blows. Each one becomes an opportunity for change, for growth, for purification, so that we become expressions of himself, artist of his own beauty. He can shape us into expressions of himself. And he does it for the delight, like all artists do it for the delight of creation. The universe is an expression of his own Ananda. He is there, immortal in our mortal poverty. This sculptor, this is the inhabitant, the screened inhabitant. This sculptor of the forms of the infinite. We are all forms of the infinite. The words seem to be a contradiction of one another. The infinite doesn't have a form, you may say. Why not? The infinite is above, the infinite is around, the infinite is within. The same infinite. And what is within? You say, I am a small being. Yes, I am. If I am ignorant and I am egocentric, then I am very small, very limited. So he has to break down the shell of the ego, which is very hard. So much resistance. The sculptor has to break down the opposition of all the other portions of the stone that do not manifest the image that he wants to create. So he is the sculptor of the forms of the infinite. This screened, unrecognized inhabitant. We don't think of him, we don't look at him, we don't care for him, we don't even know he is there. As long as that is the case, he stays screened. It's when we are aware that we are more than we are, that there is something in us that is not what we are just now. That is why we can progress. What is progress? It is moving to a new stage of experience. How can I move towards a new stage if I am completely bound by my present? I have the ability to break out of my present, to move forward. And that force that pushes me forward is inside me. I can therefore change because the power of change is there. I am not a finished product. I am slowly in a stage of becoming gradually into what I am ultimately supposed to become, an embodiment of perfection. Each one has his own perfection. No two are the same. No two individuals need be the same. We are all expressions of the infinite. And the infinite manifests himself in infinite variety. Why should he repeat himself? He's an infinite creator. So there is anything and everything carries within it one seed of the divine presence. If that is allowed to grow, the point is that we must allow it to come out to the open, for which we have to call, we have to turn to it. First of all, we have to recognize it is there. We have to believe it is there. Then we have to call for it to come out. And if our aspiration is sincere, then it will emerge. So this screened, unrecognized inhabitant, initiate of his own veiled mysteries. So the two words,
So nice.
mysteries are all the secret knowledge, the secret truth. They are his. All truth is he. All truth is his. He is the initiate. He is the one who can manifest them. The initiate is one who has the knowledge to manifest, to express the truth. He has been given the key. An initiate is one to whom the Guru has given the key, the mantra, with the help of which, the power of which, the individual can cease to be what he was and break into a new stage of consciousness. That is not given to all. The initiation is given to that individual whom the Guru finds is ready for that new stage of evolution in consciousness. Everything has its own time, has its own rhythm, and there is a long period where perhaps there is a downward curve in the journey, but even that, going back into sleep, into ignorance, perhaps we gather in that quietness the strength, the energy, and at some point the dislike for staying in that darkness. You have to pass through the darkness to realize, I don't like it. There is a discontent. When that discontent comes, you say, no, this can't go on. I don't like to be like this. Until that moment, everything seems acceptable. It's not always wonderful, but you say that's how things are. But the moment you say this cannot go on anymore, I cannot be like this anymore, I am ready for moving to the new stage. At that time, the Guru gives you the guidance. Or the guidance is always there, I turn to the Guru. The Guru is always there, he's not that he ever goes away. But I don't turn to him. I put him in a photograph and he's put him on a ledge and that's it. I don't really make him part of my daily experience. But if I can, then he will hold me by the hand and take me forward. The initiate is taken forward. He starts a new stage, that's the initiation. He starts a new stage of the journey of consciousness. So he is the initiate. The initiate is the soul in man. And the soul in man is the divine. And where is the soul moving? Towards the divine from whom it is a projection. So initiate of his own journey and of his own veiled mysteries. This screened, unrecognized inhabitant hides in a small, dumb seed his cosmic thought. The small, dumb seed is the individual. Everything, in fact, the smallest, the most ignorant, the most unwilling, the entire cosmic play is in each particle of manifestation. Man is specially blessed because he can consciously opt to no longer remain the way he is. This usually is not the case with the plant or the animal or the stone. But perhaps the plant and the animal may aspire, but they perhaps will not want. I don't think Mother has said, there is a consciousness in everything. There is a consciousness in the plant and the animal, very beautifully present in the plant because the ego is very slight there, it's hardly ever there. In some flowers it is there, but otherwise it's not. So it opens automatically to the sun. But the plant never says, I want to fly. But man might fly in the sense, I want to rise higher, I want to enter into a new field of experience. I don't want to remain the same. This possibility, this opportunity is given to man. We don't need to stay the way we are. All the world's possibilities sleep in man as the tree sleeps in the seed. This is what comes later. All the possibilities are there in man. We can be very, very small, and we often are. We can be very dark, very conscious of our ego and our pride and our specialness, so that we say, I don't need anything, I'm fine as I am. And we can also eventually break this wall of self-satisfaction and become part of the divine manifestation. The whole cosmos is his manifestation. But this takes a long time. Therefore, this energy of change takes sometimes lives. In the mute strength of the occult idea, determining predestined shape and act, passenger from life to life, from scale to scale, changing his image self from form to form. Even the external form changes because as your faculties grow, manifest, your outer form has to change. For instance, Mother gave the instance of the human being. The human being became vertical, the animal was horizontal. When he became vertical, his neck could swivel upwards and he could look at the sky. But the animal's vision is horizontal. He is there, but his aspiration. So his form is an expression also of the manifestation of his inner possibilities. Even if she gives the example of the hand, the fingers and the thumb are of different sizes, which gives to man the ability to hold, to grasp, so that he can take charge of his work. The animal, the ape has 5 fingers, they're all the same size. He can't grasp anything. So it is as if nature, the consciousness that is hidden in nature, gives the outer shape also the possibility of expressing the inner abilities, the faculties that are there. They come out into the open. We can move towards the heights. We can first look at the sun. We can look at the sky and then say, I want to go there. Why should I stay in the dark all the time? So in the mute strength of the occult idea, determining predestined shape and act. This is the ultimate purpose. We are not supposed to stay the way we are. That is why we have this force that is pushing us. This is energy. Life is energy. But it takes long time. Passenger from life to life. The traveler on the boat. Sometimes the boat goes under. You have to start again. When we move forward, we also move back. So it's a very slow, long journey. Perhaps that is also helpful because you realize that I've gone back because of something in me that was resisting, that was hindering. I have to become aware. And I have to master, I have to purify myself, I have to strengthen myself. So it takes lives. From scale to scale, from level to level, changing his image self from form to form. He regards the icon growing by his gaze. He is this screened inhabitant. He's giving an outer shape to his intention. It becomes a beautiful form, an expression of perfection by his constant guidance. And in the worm foresees the coming God. For a long time we are worms, we still are, I suffer. But we can break out of that when I realize it's not beautiful to remain a worm. But in my thoughts and my feelings and my reactions and my attitudes, often I'm so small, I'm petty, I'm trapped in my littleness. But when I have this discontent, which Sri Aurobindo describes as a divine discontent, you dislike yourself very strongly, dislike these aspects, then you do what is necessary to get rid of those weaknesses. But it doesn't happen immediately. The pull is very strong. So you say there is a possibility, but life, all lives are required to do this. But Mother says, now I have brought down so much energy that and consciousness that you can do it, not necessarily in life after life, it can be done much faster.
Even in 6 months, she said.
No less.
Less than 6 months.
Yes. But you have to be aware of her.
Constant remembrance of
Yes.
her. Right.
I stop this.